My name is Christine G, and we're going to be going over this problem today in ALEKS. So we have a family that has two cars, and during a particular week, the first car used 30 gallons of gas and the second one 35 gallons. The two cars drove a combined total of 1,600 miles, and the sum of their fuel efficiencies was 50 miles per gallon. What were the fuel efficiencies of each of the cars that week? By fuel efficiencies, they mean the MPGs, or miles per gallon. We're used to seeing that stickers for cars, like if you're buying a car, the miles per gallon that you get when driving. So right now, we know that the total was, for the two cars, was 50 miles per gallon. So their fuel efficiencies. So we don't know the miles per gallon for car one, and we don't know the miles per gallon per car for the second car. We just know how many gallons of gas they used. So we can set this up. Let me see, one. We can set this up and start looking at some things. So let me go ahead and scroll to the top. So the first car, the number of miles per gallon, plus the second car, the number of miles per gallon. So these are the two efficiencies, equal 50, and this is really the miles per gallon. So we don't know either of these two, but we know that when we add them together, they equal 50. So then what we can do is we can scroll down, and in math, as you know, we like to use variables. So replace what x and y are in the equation so that we don't have to write it out, the words out every time. So x plus y equals 50. And so now what we can do is look at that second equation. We've got the first one going, and then the next one asks us, the two cars drove a combined total of 1,600 miles. So we don't have their mileage. We just have the number of gallons of gas each car consumes. So that can help us, though, because if we think about if we can get the number of miles per gallon on each car, then that will help us get to the number of miles by multiplying it by the number of gallons. So let's look at that a little bit more closely because that's kind of tricky. So let's think of it this way. If I use 1 gallon of gas traveling 25 miles per gallon, how many miles did I travel? Well, that's kind of easy for us. We know that. That would just be 25 miles that we've traveled. So now, same thing, if I use 2 gallons of gas traveling 25 miles per gallon, well, we just take 2 and multiply it by 25 miles per gallon, and we get 50. So now, let's look at it with the car, the first car that we know it went 30 gallons, it took 30 of gallons, and let's say it was traveling 25 miles per gallon. So that was the rate. Then we could just say, okay, 30 gallons times the 25, and that'll give us 750 miles that it goes. But we don't know how far it's going. We don't know the miles per gallon, so we don't actually know how far it's going, but we can multiply the 30 times the x, which is the MPGs for the first car, 30x, and then we know that the other car is going 35, it's using 35 gallons of gas, so 35 times the MPGs, they're 35 times y because we don't know what they are, and then when we add these together, so let's look at that. My scroll is not working, so when I add 30. So this is 30 gallons used times the miles per gallon on the first car, plus the 35 gallons used times the MPGs on the second car. That is going to equal the total of 1,600 miles. So I hope this makes sense. And then in order to solve, I recommend solving for x here, and you can subtract y on both sides, and then you get x equals 50 minus y. So then we just put in 50 minus y for our x value, and then we'd use the distributive property and solve this equation for y. And then once we get y, what y is, then we can substitute that in, get what x is, and then check out, substitute x and y in on both equations, make sure everything looks good, and then that is it. So hope this makes sense, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching.